comment that it's pleasing to see that this oil and gas has come through the agenda, and I think it's a really positive thing that the regional councils are looking to take a leadership role in this area. So there are a lot of people in the community that are watching this space with great interest.
Thank you. Seconder.
I'm also happy to second this. Taking into account Councillor Barker's point, I think it's a really good thing that we take the leadership of this in the region on this issue, and I'd be very conscious to have the public involved as well, not just with our stakeholders.
Thank you, Councillor Belford.
I guess I would ultimately reserve my opinion about this until we see what this recommended path is in the next report. Since we discussed this, for example, regulations have been issued by the EPA in this case for oil and gas development offshore. It created a complete firestorm of protest because they were issued without public consultation, without any hope of further public consultation, and so forth. What we have done in embracing so closely this partnership with New Zealand Petroleum and Minerals is, I think, open ourselves up from the get-go as to whether our examination of these issues will be sufficiently independent to satisfy the public interest in these matters. And for those of you who weren't at the discussion, Rex and I failed in a motion to try to create some distance between ourselves as a council and New Zealand Petroleum and Minerals. We failed in that effort, but I think it stands as a significant concern. We're setting in motion a process here that we would hope the public will invest in at the end of the day with some enthusiasm, and I think we've chosen to put ourselves in a partnership here which is going to raise questions from the very beginning, and there's no need to do that. We should just take the leadership on our own shoulders and get on with it.
Thank you. Other speakers? Put that motion, and all those in favour please say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. Carried. Thank you. Okay. 8. Yeah, item 8 on its own. Just to speak to that.
Okay, look, we went through a fair nomination process, and there was only one nomination on the table, but I would like to reserve my right to speak with the summing up.
Mr. Chair, I have some difficulty seconding this, given that I nominated Councillor Belford and failed to get a seconder. I'm not sure what the process is here. It's quite. I'm locked into seconding it, but I can vote against it.
Well, you could vote against it, or
I could change my mind.
Someone could move an amendment now if they wish to.
I'm happy to move an amendment, but I'd like to ask a question first. Is it possible for us to appoint 2 people, 2 councillors to the board of Tourism Hawke's Bay?
I'm not sure what their constitution actually says in terms of number of directors. We have always only ever been invited to present one director.
Yeah. CCO?
Through Mr. Chairman, I'd have to go and pull out the constitution too. The constitution does say 1 member, but I don't know how firm that is. Yeah.
I mean, I'm taking a view here that we've got 2 councillors who are pretty keen to participate in this, and I would not like to see either of them lose that opportunity if they wish to do so. So could we perhaps park this and come back to it?
We could, although...
Well, I will give Paul an opportunity to at least check out the
for the rest of the day, you mean, or till the next meeting?
No, till later in the day.
Mr. Chairman, I can go and get the constitution now.
The only consideration is at the moment they're not a council-controlled organisation because we don't have a majority of. I actually don't think that would change.
No, I think on recollection the constitution is their constitution, not our constitution. So we would have to, I think, request that their constitution be amended to enable 2 councillor directors to be appointed to the Hawke's Bay Tourism Limited.
Mr. Chairman, can I perhaps suggest an interim solution? Obviously, from what was discussed by Ms Dundas in particular, they're going to be coming back to council with a new financial proposal because their contract with us concludes at the end of this current financial year, so it's out of sync with our long-term plan. And it's quite possible there that as part of your consideration about any increased financial input, you look at second board member, potentially.
When is their financial plan? When are they coming back?
So it will have to be part of your consideration of the draft annual plan, so in the early part of 2014, because you'll adopt the draft annual plan by March, and we have requested, knowing what their intention is, that they come and present to you on the 29th of January, straight after that council meeting, so within the next 5 weeks.
Well, if the time frame is that short, perhaps we could put this on hold until the next meeting.
Or we could appoint Councillor Pipe and consider a second appointment at that time.
You could appoint an alternate to Councillor Pipe as well now.
Yeah, well, that does make sense because in the past, being chairman, I've just delegated to someone, which is normally done. Right?
There's an alternative. It's to appoint Councillor Pipe until the time is reviewed, and then at that point review the matter then, with a view to having 2 councillors.
That's fine. Well, could we at this time then appoint as per the paper and revisit that? Because I mean this doesn't say one way or another whether this is the finite deal. Just conscious of moving the issue along.
Yeah, so, well, perhaps the alternate's the way to deal with it in the meantime. Perhaps if I move an amendment that we add the words with the alternate being Councillor Belford to the current motion.
Yes. Have a seconder for that?
I was wondering whether the mover and seconders would find it acceptable to have that the council seek from tourism advice whether they would find it acceptable to have 2 board members, and at the time when we do the annual plan, the council revisit the matter then.
We can do that.
I'm happy to modify my proposed amendment to include those words.
Mr. Chairman, who pays says. So if they're asking for more money and we're the major funder in any case, then we've got
pretty
some clout there,
straightforward.
but we can't change it without dialogue with them.
Can I just respond to Councillor Dick? He's exactly right. But if we don't say we were looking for 2, then they won't offer 2. But if we say we're looking for 2, and by the way, when you're coming back to us for money, we'd like your answer, it's a pretty clear indication what the answer should be, isn't it?
So we're entitled to 1 at the moment.
Yeah, it's pretty clear in the Constitution. 1 can be changed. So you moved that Councillor Belford, or the addition that that there be an alternate being Councillor Belford.
Yep.
And that's been seconded.
Yep.
And as the major contributor, we can advance this discussion.
On an appropriate revision to the Constitution.
Yeah, it would need that.
Did you need that in the resolution?
I don't think so, but
Mr. Chairman, it's not our constitution.
No.
I mean, if anything, we would make it a condition of our continued funding.
Yeah.
which would be pretty straightforward.
I understand it's their constitution, not ours. But I also understand that if we want to have 2, we need to decide we want 2. And that's why I'm saying that's why I thought it would be appropriate to have it in the resolution to seek from tourism the opportunity to have two places on their board. So we should be...
So we've got the alternate and the opportunity for two places. As mover of the amendment,
Yeah.
what's your view to that?
Yes, I'm happy with that proposal.
And as seconder to the amendment? Been an extra sentence discussed, which I'll let the mover repeat.
Well, I don't know whether Leanne's got it down, but it's along the lines of that we approach Tourism New Zealand with a view to having two... Hawke's Bay Tourism with a view to having... Sorry, that's my previous life with George Hicken that's clouded my head. That we have, with a view to having two councillors represented on their board.
Can I?
Just as...
Well, just hang on, councillor. So you've moved an amendment.
Yep.
And Alan seconded the first piece of it. Are you happy to second the whole thing? So do we have a seconder for that then?
I'm happy to second it. Can I just say to clarify, if I may, happy to second it. I clarify what I may. There are now three elements. One is the resolution nominates Councillor Dave Pipe. Second element is that there be an alternate. So if Councillor Pipe can't go, Councillor Belford goes.
Yeah.
And the third element of this is that the council resolves to ask Hawke's Bay Tourism for the opportunity to have two people on their board rather than just one.
Correct. So you wish to speak to that amendment?
Look, in the interest of efficiency of time, I think everybody's understood what's going on here, and I'm happy to leave it at that.
And seconded, Councillor Barker, you wish to... Happy with that. Any other speakers? Councillor Pipe.
I'm happy with the first two. I'm not too certain about the third part because I think it's a matter. You know very well it's a very small board, and it's sometimes about balance on boards. And I'm not too sure how they're going to feel about having two. Whether they need to then enlarge the board even further, but that's their decision, isn't it, really? And that's in there. They've very clearly laid out in the Constitution that they only wanted one member from the regional council. That's how I feel it should most probably be. But it's their decision whether they increase it. It may change the balance within the board. But
Councillor Scott.
I'm going to speak against the motion, the amendment. Mr. Chairman, it is ad hoc decision making, and this is the whole reason we have committees. We all have a choice whether we turn up to that committee or not, and I will point out that I made the choice during that committee to absent myself for an hour to attend a funeral. That was a matter of choice. The reason that we have the committee structure and the reason that we then can double debate it is that information can be supplied. And that's where we should make decisions on information, not because it sounds a good idea or because of this or because of that. So I just think this is leading to poor decision making, and therefore I feel that the recognising the integrity of the governance structure that we have, and without the information of knowing what the balance, well, I have got the information of what the balance of the board was because I go back to the days when we established it, and I think that it is inappropriate just to change it like that. So my note's only an approach to change it, but I don't think that we have been able to have the information of good grounds as to why we should increase that number brought to this council meeting.
Thank you. Other speakers? Councillor Belvin.
Earlier today, we enhanced the capacity of the HBRC board from 3 to 5, pointing out that more heads around the table were apparently going to yield better results in the process. And I see the same principle at work here. We appear to have two individuals who are prepared to devote some serious energy to the well-being of Hawke's Bay tourism and tourism in general. Why would we not wish to do that? Why would they not wish to see that happen? That is their call at the end of the day, or sort of is their call. So this outcome would be perfectly satisfactory to me.
Do you wish to sum up?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I have a very simple view about this matter. We're talking about an entity that's got a total budget of about $1.3 million, of which we supply well over $800,000. So we are the principal funder. We have two of our members who are interested in participating in the decision-making processes and discussions of that entity. It's quite important for Hawke's Bay, and I, for the life of me, can't see why we wouldn't allow the two of them to do it, as long as Hawke's Bay Tourism are happy with the necessary modification to their constitution to enable that to happen. So I'm of the view that we should enable both our fellow councillors to participate.
Thank you. So all in favour of the amendment, please raise your hand. Against? Lapses. Go back to the original motion. Do you wish to sum up, Councillor Hewitt?
Could we leave in the appointment of Councillor Belshaw as an alternate?
Belshaw.
Belford, I beg your pardon.
Well, no, the whole amendment is lapsed, and the mover and seconder.
I mean, one could pass another, could propose another amendment.
So you're proposing a second amendment?
Yes.
So that's after the words Dave Pipe and Councillor Tom
Councillor
Belford
Dave
as alternate.
And yes.
We have a seconder for that. So we go back to the original motion. Do you wish to speak to that and sum up, Councillor Hewitt?
Once again, we've gone through a robust debate, which we did during the Corporate and Strategic Committee meeting, and I'm pleased to support Councillor Dave Pipe in this position. I'm sure that you'll do a very fine job.
Thank you. I'll put that motion, and all those in favour, please please raise your hand. Against? Passes. Thank you. Okay.